Hi, this is Alex from PHP Academy, and welcome to this CSS tutorial on the box sizing property. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail in this tutorial, but I am going to explain a little bit about the box model and about how it can become, somewhat of a problem when we are writing in CSS. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is actually create a box, go ahead and style it, and then we'll look at, changing some properties. So let's go ahead and create a box or a div. We're going to name box. We're going to give an ID of box. And let's go over to our CSS and style this. So I'm going to say hash box. I'm going to give it a background color of CCC. It's like a light gray. I'm going to give it a height of 200 pixels. And I'm going to go ahead and give it a width of now we'll do that the other way around. Okay, so when I refresh, we have this. Now, this element, if we go ahead and say inspect it in Chrome Web Inspector, if I go ahead and inspect this, you can see now that, let me just hover over that. You can see now that we've got a block element because we've got that yellow on the full width of the page. We've got the blue area, which is the actual contents of the div, and you can see just underneath it there's a little speech bubble that says this div, which is named box, is 200 pixels by 100 pixels, which is what we'd expect. So, if this was an integral part of our design, for example, it was a div that fit perfectly within a specific area of our site, we'd be quite happy with this. We could place it in, start to add, say, padding, a border. But when we add a padding or a border to this, it's going to increase the width and the height of the container, depending on where we add the borders or padding, obviously. So every time we go ahead and add some, kind of padding to this, margin is obviously self-explanatory. If we were to add a margin on the outside of here, it would obviously, increase the overall space that this div takes up. But when we add padding, we might not want to increase the width of the box. This is just how CSS typically, unless you're using quirks mode, handles box sizing or element sizing. So what I want to go ahead and do is I'm going to add some text to this just to demonstrate the padding property. So I'm just going to say some content. So we've got this content inside of here. So let's go ahead and first of all add a border. So we're going to add a border to this box, and it's going to be 1 pixel in size, so 1 pixel at the top, bottom, left and right. It's going to be solid and black. Now when I refresh, nothing looks too different, but when we go ahead and inspect this, you can see that we've got an increase in the width and the height of this container. So that's 202 pixels wide, which you'd expect because we've got 1 pixel either side for the border, and 102 in height, which also you'd expect because we've got a border at the top and the bottom. So we've already run into some problems if we have specific width and height requirements and we need to fit this into a specific area. If we're doing some grid-based design, this could interfere with your design. If not now, later on down the line, if you needed to add extra padding, you don't want to go ahead and calculate this all again. Obviously the solution in this case would be to change the height and the width, which I'll demonstrate before we look at the box sizing property. So I'll go ahead and give this a padding of 10 pixels. Now just this shorthand property will give it 10 pixels north, east, south and west, so the top, left, right and bottom. And you can see that the box has significantly increased in size. It's now 202 pixels width and 122 height, which we'd also expect because we've added 20 to the height and 20 to the width, 10 at the top and the bottom, 20, and the same for the left and right. So now that we've done this, we can go ahead and we can sort of subtract these values that we don't want to keep in. So for example, we could give this a height of 78 and we can give this a width of 178. And that would solve our problem. The box is now returned to 200 by 100 pixels. Now obviously at the time of recording this tutorial, the box sizing property has support in Mozilla. Has support in WebKit, so Chrome and Safari, and it has support in IE as well. I'm not sure about 8 and 9. That's something to go and Google around for. But you know, if you didn't want to use this property and you wanted to calculate the sizes, that's, you know, obviously perfectly acceptable because it's how people have done things. It's also a lot more reliable because you know that the box is going to, you know, be at the size that you've specified. If box sizing is, you know, limited in how it's been implemented in browsers, then you might find that this, you know, this box sizing property I'm going to speak about might not work for you. However, when you are dealing with percentages, with, you know, width, say 70%, you're going to run into problems when you need specific sizing, because, you know, it's very temperamental when you mix percentages, pixels together, EMs, and so on and so forth. So we're going to look at the box sizing property. We're going to return these to 200 by 100 as we have specified them already. We've got this problem of oversizing. Let's go ahead and look at the box sizing property. So box sizing has a default value of content box. This just means that the you know, the content is pushing everything out. That's essentially how I can explain it. We also have the ability to inherit, which is the same with a lot of other CSS properties. However, we are going to be using border box. And what this means is that the border is going to be the outermost container, and everything else is going to, you know, sort of push everything in. So now that we've set this box sizing property, which obviously has vendor prefixes at the time of recording, but I'm just going to be displaying box sizing here. When we refresh, you can see that the box shrinks. Essentially, it doesn't really shrink, but it goes back to 200 by 100 pixels. We've still got the padding, we've still got the border, but we have got the sizes that we specified from the border inwards. So the border's being counted as the width and the height, and the padding's being counted as the width and the height. So even if we go ahead and increase the padding, say, and we give a 2 pixel border instead of a 1 pixel border, the element stays at 200 by 100. Everything just pushes inwards. So you can see that this is a really useful property in CSS. As I said, widely implemented, might be different. It might be better implemented by the time you get around to watching this video. However, that's the box sizing method in CSS, and how we can use it to, you know, create a lot easier, or create elements and their sizes a lot easier.